cost my family millions.
And you want to be compensated?
Yes, I want to be very clear about that I was difficult to work with. He lied, only for Tyler Perry to admit I was wrong. And when my movie Boo come out, I'm going to say that. Had I not recorded Tyler Perry, then it would have been my word against his. And then on top of that, it would have been, he's so powerful, we can't even pay no attention.
Sued for $260 million over harassment allegations. The complaint filed in Los Angeles accuses Perry of creating a, quote, coercive, exploitative dynamic with actor Derek Dixon.
Welcome back to your daily dose of scandal and glamour. Tyler Perry just got slapped with a $260 million lawsuit. And guess who's not shocked at all? Nique. She's been calling this out for years. She warned us about the fake smiles, the shady silence, the gaslighting, and the way Hollywood protects its favorites behind the scenes. People called her bitter back then, but now it's looking like she was the only one telling the truth. She spoke on the blackballing. She dropped audio tapes, and now that another person's stepping forward with receipts, that bitter label ain't sticking no more. It's sounding like a whole pattern. This might be the moment when the truth actually cuts through the silence. The man who once hid behind Medea's wig and flashy studio tours? Not this time. Tyler Perry just got hit loud and legal. And this lawsuit ain't no joke. Actor Derek Dixon filed it in Los Angeles Superior Court, and he's not holding back. He's accusing Tyler Perry of harassment, sexual abuse, workplace retaliation, and emotional distress for over 5 years. That's not some random complaint. This man brought receipts with exact dates, locations, trailers, homes, and even screenshots of text messages. Dixon's not whispering. He's putting it all out there, loud and direct. And now the silence surrounding one of the most powerful men in Hollywood might finally be cracking wide open.
Is suing Tyler Perry, the individual, as well as his production studio. That studio is called TPS Production Services, LLC. That stands for Tyler Perry Studios in Action, LLC. And he is looking for $260 million.
Dixon says it all kicked off in 2019, when he was just a nobody, grinding behind the scenes at Tyler Perry's grand opening event. That's when it happened. According to the lawsuit, Perry spotted him, asked for his number, and hit him with the promise, "I'll change your life." But Dixon says that wasn't just a friendly offer. It was the start of what he now calls psychological warfare dressed up as mentorship. Soon after, Perry gave him a tiny role on the show Ruthless. That's when things allegedly escalated. Dixon claims he got invited to Perry's massive Atlanta home, where the vibes turned dark. One night, Dixon says he got drunk and asked if he could crash in the guest room. That's when, according to him, Perry followed him inside and started touching his thighs. Dixon says he clearly told him no, but Perry didn't stop. By January 2020, things got worse. Dixon claims another full-on incident went down again, in Perry's home. Same setup, same outcome. And every time something happened physically, Perry allegedly came back with a professional reward. He cast Dixon as Dale in The Oval. That's when the communication reportedly switched up. Flirty texts, late-night phone calls, subtle power plays, and one message? It hit different. According to Dixon, Perry texted him, "What's it going to take for you to have guiltless?" Dixon says he tried to keep things cool, laugh it off, stay professional. But deep down, he knew the stakes. This wasn't just any guy. This was Tyler Perry, the man who could build you up or end your career with one call. And according to court records, that's exactly what happened. Every time Dixon tried to pull away, Perry allegedly got more controlling. By the end of season 1, Dixon's character got written off dramatically, shot 4 times in the chest on screen. Just like that, gone. According to Dixon, the message was loud and clear: either play along or get played out. He says after trying to put some distance between himself and Perry, he got pulled right back in with a brand new promise. This time, a TV pilot. Perry allegedly told him he'd produce it, but Dixon now says that was just bait, a fresh way to keep him close, keep him quiet, and keep him hoping. But that hope didn't last forever. By June 2024, after years of silence and stress,
Recorded Tyler Perry, then it would have been my word against his. And then on top of that, it would have been, he's so powerful, we can't even pay no attention.
Dixon finally filed an official complaint with the EEOC. Still, Nothing changed. He walked away from the Oval, leaving behind more than just a role. He claims he lost out on $400,000 in earnings and carried years of trauma with him when he left. Tyler Perry's legal team, they're calling the whole thing a scam. They say Dixon is making it up and that Tyler won't be shaken down. But this time, it's not just talk versus talk. Dixon's case includes screenshots of messages, a diagnosis of PTSD, and a detailed timeline. And guess who's watching from the sidelines? She's been here before and she's not surprised. Calling out a Hollywood power player is one thing, but laying out a step-by-step breakdown of manipulation and control, that hits different. Dixon didn't just sue, he painted a picture from that very first day at Perry's 2019 studio launch in Atlanta. Back then, he was just another face in the crowd, working behind the scenes. He wasn't famous, he wasn't rich, and now? He's saying that the life-changing moment he was promised turned into a nightmare he couldn't escape. Court documents say Tyler Perry handpicked Derek Dixon, said he saw something in him, asked for his number on the spot, and promised to hook him up with a role. Not long after, Dixon got a small part on Perry's show Ruthless. Things seemed to be looking up until Perry invited him over again. That's when, according to Dixon, the lines got crossed. He says he was drinking that night and asked to sleep in a spare room. But instead of being left alone, Dixon claims he woke up with Perry allegedly in his bed, groping his thighs. Even then, Dixon says he didn't speak out. He didn't feel safe to. It wasn't just about losing a paycheck. He was terrified of being branded as difficult, afraid of being blackballed, and deep down, scared no one would believe him. So he stayed quiet. And that silence? Dixon says it gave Perry the green light to keep pushing boundaries. The messages didn't stop. In fact, they allegedly got bolder. According to Dixon, Perry started asking about his preferences, sliding in questions about fantasies. The tone? Blatantly suggestive. And behind it, Dixon claims, was a clear message. If you don't play along, your character gets killed off. And guess what? It literally happened. Season 1 finale of The Oval. Dixon's character, Dale, shot 4 times in the chest. Then came the Bahamas trip in 2020. Another alleged incident, this time while traveling with the cast. Then another moment after filming, inside his trailer. Dixon says Perry allegedly pinned him against a wall, and each time he pushed back, he says Perry's vibe changed. More cold, more controlling. But Dixon says this wasn't just about sex. It was about power, control, and keeping him in line, on and off the screen. Dixon says Tyler Perry held his dreams like a carrot on a string, promised to produce his passion project, losing it, a show Dixon had been developing himself. Perry told him he'd turn him into a star, but according to Dixon, not only did Perry never produce it, he kept the rights, and by 2023, completely ghosted him. By then, Dixon had already moved to California, trying to start over and put everything behind him. But the damage had already been done. He wasn't just broke, he was broken. Diagnosed with PTSD, battling severe anxiety and depression, and watching not just his income disappear, but also his confidence, his sense of worth. The more you read through this case, the more it starts to look like a full-blown playbook. Promises, manipulation, isolation, threats, over and over again. We've seen stories like this whispered through Hollywood circles before, but rarely this detailed. And the deeper it goes, the more it starts to echo something we've already heard from someone who was nearly erased for speaking up. Because way before this lawsuit made headlines, Monique had already sounded the alarm. She wasn't just complaining, she was shouting into the void. Monique says she saw it, lived it, and paid the price for telling the truth. According to her, she lost tens of millions just for standing her ground. It all traces back to Precious, the 2009 film that earned her an Oscar, but almost ended her career. Why? Because she refused to do unpaid overseas promo. That's it. She stood up for fair treatment. And in return, she says Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, and Oprah labeled her difficult. That one word became a weapon. It blacklisted her, shut doors, and nearly erased her from the very industry she helped shape. And according to Monique, Perry admitted it. She begged him, not behind closed doors, not through some lawyer email, but publicly, to clear her name. She wanted the world to hear the truth from his mouth, the same world that believed the lies. And Perry, he told her he would. When his movie Boo came out, he promised to speak out. Monique was ready and smart. She legally recorded the conversation because she knew what would happen if she didn't. But that public apology, it never came. Instead, Perry allegedly started telling people he didn't want to revisit the drama. Even when Kevin Hart tried to step in and help them make peace, Perry stayed quiet. And while Monique kept losing jobs, deals, and respect, being labeled angry, ungrateful, and bitter, Perry said nothing. He let her take the fall. That's exactly why the Derek Dixon lawsuit hit so hard for her. Because now, finally, someone else is saying it. Out loud, on paper, under oath, the same pain, the same pattern, the same kind of silence being used like a weapon. This isn't just about one man allegedly crossing lines. It's about a whole system that protects power and punishes anyone who speaks up. It's about the trailers, the cast trips, the promises made behind closed doors, and the fear that follows. Monique's not chasing revenge. She's demanding accountability. She said it plain. This is about justice, not forgiveness. And she's done waiting for Hollywood to let it go. She wants it made right, with public truth and real compensation. Because if the industry had listened when Monique first spoke out, maybe Derek Dixon wouldn't be out here fighting this exact same war all over again. In Hollywood, silence ain't just survival, it's currency. And when Monique decided to break that silence by pressing record, everything shifted. She didn't just call Tyler Perry out for sabotaging her career. She came with receipts. In a private conversation, Perry allegedly confessed that he was the one who called her difficult, and that the label wasn't even true. That legally recorded audio didn't stay tucked away. Monique sent it to civil rights leaders, close industry friends, and even public advocates. She thought the truth would spark support. But the more she shared it, the quieter everyone around her got. One of the loudest examples, Reverend Al Sharpton. He was originally on her side until he heard the tape. After that, total silence. Next time Monique saw him, he was on stage praising Tyler Perry while flying on Perry's private jet. Monique didn't hold back. She called it exactly what it was, the cost of complicity. Then came Stephanie Mills. Monique asked her to step in. Stephanie reached out to Perry and got him to agree to a meeting, but only if Monique's husband wasn't there. That was the one condition. Monique refused. She said that's how they do it. Get the target alone. No witnesses, no protection, no backup. And that setup, it matches what Derek Dixon described. Isolated, pressured, and wrapped in silence. Even when others tried to step in, like Kevin Hart, the silence always came back. Kevin offered to work with Monique, even produce her show. He had her back. Until his manager, Dave Becky, allegedly made one call to their production partner and shut the whole thing down. Just like that. Monique says she called Kevin Hart directly after his team pulled out. He told her it was just a miscommunication, said they'd talk soon. That was 2 years ago. She hasn't heard a word since. But the more Monique pushed for the truth to come out, the louder the industry pushed back. Suddenly, she was labeled all over again. Bitter, angry, hard to work with. Sound familiar? That same set of labels got stuck on Derek Dixon, too. Dixon says after he rejected Perry's alleged advances, his character on the Oval didn't just fade away. He was gunned down on screen, shot 4 times. Then Perry dangled a deal in front of him, offered to buy his pilot, losing it. But Dixon says that was never about the show. It was just a move to keep him quiet. When he finally filed his EEOC complaint in 2024, Perry didn't go quiet. According to Dixon, he sent in fixers, people who allegedly offered him a raise, then vanished. That show still hasn't aired. Dixon walked away from the Oval, and Hollywood walked away from him. Monique says it's the same exact pattern. Promise the dream, control the silence. If you speak up, you become the problem. In Hollywood, talent alone doesn't protect you. You stay in the game by staying quiet, staying useful, and never going against the power players. But Monique did go against them, and she paid the price. For years, she said the same names out loud: Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels. But there was one moment that broke her completely. Oprah invited Monique's estranged family onto national television to talk about Monique's childhood trauma without her consent. That betrayal pushed her past the point of no return. And after that, silence was no longer an option. Maybe they stayed quiet because they were scared, or maybe they thought nothing would change. But if this lawsuit cracks things wide open, if Derek Dixon isn't the only one, then the image of Tyler Perry as the generous creator, the community hero, the self-made king, that whole myth starts to crumble. And the fallout could be huge. Perry owns his own entire studio. He runs the productions, signs the checks, hires the writers. He controls everything. So if a court finds him guilty of retaliation or misconduct, it won't just be about paying out damages. We're talking about potential freezes on future shows, canceled partnerships, and a reputation that may never recover. And for Hollywood, it forces a deeper reckoning, one that goes beyond the usual headlines. A conversation not just about white executives, but about black gatekeepers too. The ones who preach representation but behind the scenes might be exploiting the very people they claim to uplift. That's what Monique has been screaming for over a decade. She's been saying, it was never just about race, it's about power. Who has it, how they use it, and who they silence with it. So what happens if Tyler Perry falls? Maybe the industry finally realizes something real, that having a platform doesn't mean you're building a legacy, that putting a black face at the top doesn't guarantee protection for everyone else, and that representation without integrity means nothing. Because no studio, no mansion, no empire can cover up the truth forever. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest tea. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.